Good morning and welcome to day 18. Today we'll be talking about advanced stems. They're really about stems that are not necessarily about the stitches, but about the types of threads or yarns that we're going to use. I'd like to introduce you to single loop and 3.5 millimeter silk ribbon, and also some fun things to do with Gimp. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Gimp. We did those fun bullion knots with Gimp, but there's many other things you can do with it, and they're especially good for stems. So right here you can see that I have just couched it. So I couched it with a number 5, just a single strand of Gimp. I crocheted a single crochet here and then stitched it down on either side. It also weaves well, so I've weaved it through a purl stitch and here through a little back stitch. So you can do many other things with it. I've also stitched a palestrina knot with Gimp as well, so I can show you over here. This is a palestrina knot stitched with Gimp. So there's quite a few things you could do to add a different texture to your stems as well. The other product that Painter's Thread has is a single loop. I'll just move this out the way so you can see it a little better here. This is single loop, and what it is Gimp made into this wonderful little loopy pattern. So this makes a fabulous stem. You can see you can also curve it, which is nice. And I would just stitch this down on either side of the loop. For the ends here, what I normally do is I undo it a little bit and I take my little tails to the back. So as we don't have a wool flower to go over it at the end, I would just pull these tails to the back and whip them down, and then you can use your single loop like that. So both fun products and lots of very versatile, lots of things you can do with that. Okay, another fun product you might like to use for your stems is braided cotton. And we use that for nigella, if you remember, for the center of the flower, but this makes amazing stems. So what I normally do is I cut it 4 times the length of my finished stem. I'll put a knot in the end, thread it in an 18 chenille needle, and then I'll bring it up from the bottom through my work. I then will find one of the threads in the end, and I will draw it up and it'll ruche. So once you've ruched it, there's many ways you can attach it. So here I attached it with French knots, the same here, but here I put French knots very close together on either side. Here I did it with different stitches so you could see what it looks like. Here it is with French knots down either side, here with French knots down the center, here a few drizzle stitches, then here I did it with one big French knot up the center. So there's many different stitches in the book that you can use to attach it, but the other thing is that it is nice because it'll curve nicely and make very, very soft stems. Or another use for your braided cotton. So this would be really easy because you can pull both tails from the beginning and the end through to the back. So you'll be able to end it off really nicely. So I thought I'd show you how to do a nice little stem with silk ribbon. This is 3.5 millimeter silk ribbon. So I took it to the ironing board and ironed it nice and flat, and I put a knot in the end. So I'm going to bring it up where I'm going to start my little stem. And now I'm going to do just a little closed fly stitch to show you how nice the silk ribbon looks and you can lay it with your needle like that if you want to lay it flat. So it'll be a nice little way to add a little stem at the bottom of your piece, or just to add another little bit of texture. So you don't want to pull the silk ribbon too tight, but you also want to, if you want to keep it flat, you want to So sometimes I keep it flat, sometimes I don't worry about it. It just depends on what mood I'm in, I think. So there we go. So you can see how nice the silk ribbon looks to add another bit of texture for an added little stem. So there you go, and you can continue down and just meander over your stems like that if you'd like to use some silk ribbon.